feels to me, Ashley, I'm interested to get your take on this. It feels to me like the ranking is maybe the only thing that these two have in common. Like, it feels like USC has a lot of momentum, and the arrow feels like it's pointing up, and they've been a surprise, and we were talking about some surprising teams in that last game. They've been a surprise in terms of how much better the defense has been. And then you look at the other side, and Michigan, I get it, the defending national champs, they lost a ton, but they're going through all this quarterback uncertainty. I don't think the defense has necessarily played to the level that maybe people expected that it would. Like, it feels like Michigan, despite having that ranking, has a ton of question marks.
Yeah, Dave, I couldn't agree more. I think you nailed it on the head. And this is the game. It still has a ton of intrigue for me. Like, it was one of the first games that I circled on the calendar when the schedule came out a few months ago. But up to this point, these are two teams who appear to be on very different trajectories coming into week 4. USC, to your point, they know exactly who they are. Again, with a small sample size. They are not a finished product. Lincoln Riley will tell you that. But they know who they are. They have a terrific quarterback. They're running the ball. The defense, which was by far the biggest question mark coming in, has looked better than I think even the most optimistic Trojan fan expected it to look. So we can get more into that, the defense and what that will look like against this Michigan offense in a minute. But USC has an identity and a confidence that you can see, whereas Michigan is obviously still figuring itself out, which is probably a little disorienting for a fan base that has gotten used to watching a team that absolutely knew who they were and hung their hat on their defense. And Dave, I think, obviously the quarterback situation is a microcosm of that larger identity question. It did not go well with Davis Warren, who won the job out of camp. And I wonder, what you think is reasonable to expect with Alex Orji, because he brings a whole new dynamic to the offense in that he's very mobile, but we haven't really seen him throw the ball. Like, I don't know that they trust him to throw the ball. So curious what you think that's going to look like on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. It's weird to me that he did not throw the ball in the second half against Arkansas State more. I just felt like if you think there is the possibility, so you just benched Davis Warren for the interception. So at that point in the back of your mind, Ashley, don't you have to be thinking, okay, there's the possibility that Davis Warren isn't the right guy for us, as manifested by the fact they end up making a quarterback change now going into this game. If, in fact, he may not be the right guy, shouldn't we open up the entire offense here with Alex Orji? I mean, he's thrown 7 career passes, Ashley. This is his 3rd year that he's played for Michigan. He's thrown 7 passes. He's going to be their starting quarterback. It's just really curious to me that they're in this spot. Not that they've made a quarterback switch. Like, they started with the guy they thought gave them the best chance, but that they go to a guy and with opportunities, ample opportunities here, at least in 2 of these first 3 games, to get a sense for how Alex Orji throws the ball in a game situation. They've really given him very few chances to do that.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And I think then you factor in, is Colston Loveland going to be healthy enough to play? He got banged up last week against Arkansas State. He's been their most reliable offensive pass catcher, certainly this point into the season. And to me, Dave, this is a game where, like, Kalel Mullins and Donovan Edwards will need to have a big impact. And I think that they will, and they can, not only because they're terrific, but because USC, they have not faced a dominant running back this year. Yeah. And Danson Lynn, the defensive coordinator, has said in every conversation with him that our 2 biggest priorities as a defense are stopping the run and impacting the quarterback. And they've done that against LSU and Utah State, but Michigan should, hopefully have more of an ability to get the ground game going. So that's going to be something I think is going to be really interesting to watch. And when you look at USC's defense, one of the guys who has really stood out to me this year is Eric Gentry, number 18. He started his career at ASU, came in as a big-time recruit. He transferred to USC, and he just never developed into the player that I think a lot of people expected. But when you watch him, he has this, I don't know how to describe it, but just a renewed sense of energy. He's playing with a confidence and a joy that we didn't see the last couple of years. So, for a linebacker too, he's so unique. He's 6'6". He has a 7-foot wingspan. I think 7'1" to be exact. So he can take up a ton of space. When you're in zone coverage, he can rush the quarterback. Sometimes you'll see him on the ball, coming off the edge. He has raved about his new position coach in Matt Entz. So to me, he's just a guy that represents how much this staff, almost entirely new defensive staff, the impact that they're having. Because I'll remind everybody, Matt Entz left a head coaching job at North Dakota State to be an assistant at USC. So It's going to be interesting to see what happens not only with the quarterback, but the run game, certainly when USC's defense is on the field.
Yeah, that absolutely shows to me the dedication they had to improving their defense when you're able to pry a guy away from one of the best FCS jobs in the country to be a position coach. One last thought on this, Ashley. If USC wins this game, right, I remember looking at their schedule and just thinking, man, this is a daunting schedule. We've got LSU, Michigan in the first two of the first 4 games. Now, all of a sudden, if they win this game, like you look down the line at the tough games they have left, Penn State, Nebraska, Notre Dame, they're all at home. I mean, it's not unreasonable. I mean, this isn't a great revelation, right? They're ranked 11th in the country. It's a 12-team playoff. But I just don't think we started the year thinking about them as a playoff team. But you win this game, and, man, I think you're in great shape. I know it's really early, and I hate focusing on that because the games are the games, and I want to celebrate all the great things about the games, but we're always talking about who can make the playoff, and I think USC becomes really legit if they win this game.
Yep. And I'm with you. I feel like USC and USC doesn't fly under the radar, when you're talking about the offseason, but it felt like they did this year. I mean, I had Trojan fans coming up to me and saying, I just feel like I haven't really heard a lot about our team. Like, what are the expectations? What do you think? Is the defense actually going to be, better? Can Danson Lynn come and do the same thing he did at UCLA in year 1? And I think, to me, it comes down to, I love Miller Moss's story, and I've talked about it a lot, but I don't think that you can talk about it enough. Just how this is a guy who waited his turn, who came in, and we'll see how the environment of playing in the Big House, which is an environment he has not played in yet. I'm interested to see how he shows up. But this is a team that has, they're 11 in the country for a lot of different reasons, and this is a huge measuring stick for them. There's no question.
2 huge games there, and both should be fascinating. So we've touched on those. We got tons more to come here on the show.